has cancelled the parliamentary elections in the Asin North constituency in the 2020 parliamentary elections. Also, as the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, prepares to present a mid-year budget review tomorrow, we take a look at Ghana's economy, whether it is a victim of COVID-19 or pre-existing conditions. Also, we end the show with a focus on the West African Examination Council here in Ghana. I am Sandra Ofosu-Dewanu, and I am sitting in for your regular host, Francisca Kakra-Forsen. We will take a quick breather here. When we return, I will introduce my guest, and then we will delve into the issues for the day.
Obia ISIS AC, Tresse, it will gold-plated things. Yet the copper pipes pa pebinaye. Gasia, and for how Biam Rodasanibia, and a goom. And yet the day, Tansu of 4-in-1 filter system. 80 from a free mubano. Aye kroji. AC, yet the horsepower neto. ISIS Cassa a 2.5. Aye 2.5. Kululu pianim. Yet the Abapiamo. Aye ISIS AC Super Promo. Date near 26 July. Akobim 8 August 2021. Upe Asia Efe. Na eche. Na chili. Na nche power. Aye ISIS AC. Comfort to yemi. 26 July. Akobim 8 August. Madam Hisense. Matiti Suse. Who? 5 years warranty. Eda Sutia. Hisense and Kwane to me yes amount. Hisense. Everyday prices for everyday people.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Kofi Kapito, I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the right of the consumer. I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Capito Show on Metro TV.
Welcome back. The program is Good Afternoon Ghana, right here on Metro Television with me, Sandra Ofosu-Dewanu. Let's get into the details of our very first issue for this afternoon. And we start off from Cape Coast, where the High Court in the Central Region has declared the 2020 parliamentary election held in the Asin North constituency null and void. How did we get to this stage? We have been joined by Counsel Justice Abdullahi. Justice Abdullahi is a private legal practitioner and a law lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. He is going to help us to break down what the ruling today actually means. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining Metro TV's Good Afternoon Ghana.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure being here.
All right, thank you. So, can you break down the ramifications of the ruling this morning on the James Kwakye Quayson case for us?
Essentially, from the reports that we are all getting, it means that the court indeed agreed that the honorable member either owes allegiance to another country or...
Justice Abdullahi, are you able to speak up a little bit for me?
Yes, please. So, I don't know whether you can hear me now. I know whether you hear me now. So, my position is that from the decision of the court, it's obvious that the court believes that the honorable member either has a dual national at the time of his application to contest for the election of the constituency that he represents, or he owes allegiance to another country Now, these are two different concepts that we have to interrogate further when we see the judgment itself. And so, to that extent, it means that he couldn't have, in law, applied for and contest for the position that he occupies presently. And as a result, wouldn't be able to, shouldn't have been able to even enter Parliament because he was not a Ghanaian in accordance with the law, the requirement of the law. And we should remember that all this is premised on the qualifications of a member of Parliament that has been detailed out by the Constitution itself, which prohibits persons who are not Ghanaians to be members of Parliament and indeed occupy other positions. Now, where you are Ghanaian and you owe allegiance to another country, you are equally disqualified. And indeed, where you are Ghanaian with the dual nationality, until the law is amended, you fall in the same category as any other person. So this is how this is the view that from the judgment of the court that we can deduce from it. But as I said earlier, when we obtain the substantive the records, we may be able to interrogate it further. But for now, this is what we can all deduce from it. What this also implies is that the member of Parliament may not even be able to contest for the next election, which the court has ordered to be organized within the next few months or weeks.
Whoa. So, as one of my questions I was going to ask, does he exit the House immediately following this High Court ruling?
Indeed, he exits office immediately until he's able to take steps that would allow him to stay on if the Superior Court allow him, if he thinks there's a need to contest it at the court beyond the High Court. He may have to file additional processes and be able to obtain an order staying this decision of the High Court. Until that is done, he literally vacates office almost immediately. The moment the office of the Speaker is served, which I have every reason to believe that even as we speak, the Speaker or the clerk to the Speaker will be served almost any time soon. Now, I say this taking into consideration the fact that prior to the inauguration of the new government, there were attempts to serve the Speaker or the clerk, and it was done almost immediately after the order for an injunction was obtained. And so if you take it from that angle, then you can be rest assured that they will do things very swiftly to ensure that the Speaker or the clerk is well informed of this decision.
His lawyers and members of the NDC are vehemently opposed to the ruling. What are the other avenues available for them?
Indeed, there are several opportunities available to them to set aside the decision or overturn it. But as to the exact one that will be chosen, entirely decisions that I believe the lawyers handling the matter are better placed to take. I will not pretend to know more than they do, considering that they are handling the case, so they know the ins and outs of the case. They know what might have been done wrongly and what have been done rightly, and so they are better placed to take the appropriate decisions going forward.
But in your position as a legal practitioner, what usually will be the options available?
For the options, there's an option for appeal. There's an option for seeking a judicial review from the Supreme Court, and so you can never say until you have the complete picture before you. If you're the one handling the matter, you have all the processes and the proceedings before you. That is the only time that you can take the most appropriate decision. Of course, also on the basis that the client agrees with the decision that you agrees with indeed the decision that the step that you want to take. Otherwise, you can never sit on the fence and pretend to know more than those handling the matter. It is impossible. But these are the options available. Either something that you think ought to be or that is appealable, that you probably would want to exercise your right to appeal, or something that you believe that you may probably have to exercise your decision to go to the Supreme Court for an order, either quashing or something close to that. So indeed, there are two. I mean, and it indeed could exercise both options.
Okay.
If you are within, if you believe that the decision could be wrongful on the basis of the two rooms that I've just indicated, i.e. appealing or going for any of the available remedies under judicial review.
If I heard you right, is Honorable Quayson able to stand for any other election subsequently in the country?
That is more likely to be a no than a yes, and the reason why it's a no is because the status quo hasn't changed. So until that is changed, you cannot say with emphasis that he can stand for any election. So until then, he cannot contest any election, whether in the new one or any other election.
Okay.
He cannot stand for any of those elections. Indeed, I should emphasize that the state may even come after him in criminal on a criminal charge, as was done to the Honourable Member of Parliament Adamu Sakandi, who had one Sumaila Bello coming after him on a similar issue because he held the nationality of the British and after having his election to Parliament annulled, the state went after him on the criminal charges, and then he ended up being convicted and imprisoned.
Okay.
If you remember, he just died few months ago. Now, if that example is anything to go by, then I even fear for this honourable member because the state could go after him on the same basis for the criminal aspect of this matter, and he could, upon conviction, go to prison and serve a prison sentence. So it is not all rosy at this moment for him. It is quite a turbulent way ahead of him. So things are not that cool at all. He's not just losing his membership of Parliament. And I remember emphasizing on these same matters prior to the 2020 elections that all those contestants should be very careful of that. In fact, I actually issued a warning to the political parties themselves rather than to the candidates, that the political parties owe all of us as Ghanaians a duty to ensure that their candidates are who they say they are, because we wouldn't want to have the same example of Adamu Sakandi going forward. It wasn't a pleasant experience, and it hasn't been a pleasant experience even till date. Remember, the man even died literally, died whilst serving his sentence. And I don't think any of us need to go through this for any reason.
All right. Thank you very much, Counsel Justice Abdullahi. He is a private legal practitioner and a law lecturer at the University of Professional Studies right here in Accra. He's been helping us to understand what it means for Cape Coast High Court to have nullified the election of Richard Quayson as the Member of Parliament for Asin North in the 2020 parliamentary elections. This is Good Afternoon Ghana. We go for a quick break. When we return, we delve into other issues such as the West African Examination Council. Please stay.
The search for a reliable partner in dealing with available the sale of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020-000-0831 or 054-555-7500. You can also email us info@seautomobilegh.com or visit our website at www.seautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Kofi Kapito, I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the right of the consumer. I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Kapito Show on Metro TV.
The program is still Good Afternoon Ghana, right here on Metro Television with me, Sandra Ofusu Dewonu. So to our next important topic for discussion this afternoon, we have been joined in the studio by two guest gentlemen from the West African Examination Council, WAEC. This afternoon, they are going to tell us about the mandate of WAEC when it comes to examination conduct in Ghana. And then we would also pose some questions, some teething questions they have not agreed yet to talk about, but definitely they will not come in here and go without me talking about them. So this afternoon, we are joined in the studio by John Kweku Apia. He is Head of Science, Maths and Technical Subjects Department at WAEC. And we also have John Kwame Kapi. Okay, he is also head for the Office Management Department at the West African Examination Council. Gentlemen, welcome to Metro TV.
Thank you.
All right. So let's start off first with Mr. John Kwame Kapi. I got it right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. What is the mandate of the West African Examination Council?
Yeah, thank you. Basically, the West African Examinations Council was established to determine the examinations required in the public interest in the English-speaking West African countries. We conduct the examinations, and then we award certificates that are equivalent to equally high-class examining bodies across the world.
Okay. Okay, so with what you've just said, it means there is a collaboration. There is a collaboration between WAEC in Ghana and other examination councils in English-speaking West African countries.
Yes, WAEC basically is made up of 5 countries.
Yeah.
Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the Gambia.
Okay.
So there's a collaboration between us and these 4 other countries.
Okay.
We together make up what we call the West African Examinations Council.
Okay. So basically, whatever questions are set are across board. Does that mean the curriculum ahead of students even writing those exams must therefore be similar?
Yes, the curriculum must be similar. If you recall, until 2006, Ghana was writing what we call the SSSE.
Yes.
And then when we entered 2006, we went to WAS. So WASP was then synchronized with the other West African countries, and then we came onto a common platform, and then we wrote the same exam.
Okay.
So that goes to say that yes, the curriculum is similar across the 5, especially for the senior high schools.
Okay.
For the senior high schools, yes.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Maybe what I may add on is that each country has its own goals, so each country develops its own curriculum.
Okay.
But there are common subjects or common areas where these curriculum meet.
Yeah.
So in setting out the questions, we have questions that are common to all member countries, and we have questions that are specific to each member countries.
That is important to state, because really, if we don't have a similar curriculum, or we don't have the same, not just similar, if we don't have the same, how then are you going to be able to set questions across board? So it's important that you've stated that there are country-specific questions too. Okay, so that brings me to the processes actually involved in setting of questions by WAEC. Yes, I think you can continue with that.
We have a list. We prepare a list which has the names of our setters, those who set the questions for us.
Okay.
And then also we have the list of moderators, and then the list of our chief examiners. So this list is reviewed every 3 years.
Okay.
We do that so that we'll be able to improve upon our work. We look at the work of our setters and moderators within the 3 year span.
Okay.
Do we have to renew their mandate? So every 3 years, we renew the list of our setters. And what the setters do is that they set the questions and then hand them over to the council.
Okay.
Then when we receive the questions, we have our subject officers who are experts in their own fields.
Okay.
So first of all, they will look at the questions that have been set, edit them, and if it is an objective test, we do what we refer to as trial test.
Okay.
We test the questions in selected schools across the country. We do this because with the objective test, there are some qualities or parameters or indicators we are looking for in the objective test. So we try test them, and then when we receive the scores, they are scanned, and then we receive these results.
Okay.
And we look at the properties, whether they are within the range that we expect candidates to work. One of the properties that we look for is item difficulty.
Okay.
We want to know the number of candidates who are able to answer the answer correctly.
Okay.
So we gather all these parameters, and then items that are working well, there are other parameters in the way.
Okay.
So items that are working well, we send them to our meeting, and then at the moderating meeting, we have membership from all the member countries. It's not only restricted to Ghana. We have a panel. We have representatives from all the member countries, Nigeria, Sierra Leone. They all come with their experts, and then they'll look at the questions. They'll look at the objective tests. For the objective tests, as I mentioned earlier on, we don't try tests only in Ghana.
Okay.
We do it across all member countries.
Okay.
So when we receive the data that we receive gives us an idea about the performance of the items within all the member countries.
Okay.
So we look at the parameters, whether they are working within our set target. That will be for the OBG. Then we come to the theory. The experts will sit down, look at the questions. Are there questions that can be solved if it's a mathematics question? Because you can set a question and it may not be solved. That aside, there are time limits. So they look at all these things. You can't set a question, the duration for the paper, supposing is 2.5 hours. And you set a question where candidates may use about 1 hour to answer. Straight away you realize that the candidates are going to fail. So they look at all these things and then look at specific interests of member countries and ensure that every member country's interest is catered for. Normally what we do in WIC is that we build consensus as much as possible.
Okay.
So that is what we do. Then after that, then the subject officers will sit down to compile the paper. It goes to the press, and then the questions are printed.
I am curious about this. Who qualifies to set questions?
You mean our setters?
Yes.
Okay. Usually there are people who have worked with us for some time. They have been our examiners.
Okay.
And people who are specialists in that field.
Okay, so there are people who have trained to set
in
examination
fact, yes, we train them. Our setters
Okay.
we take them through a course. We refer to it as item writers course. So we normally do this and then train them and give them the skills to enable them set the questions.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's talk about activities after the conduct of examinations.
Well, when it comes to activities after the conduct of examinations, we have the collection of the scripts. And we have what we call swapping. We swap the scripts across the regions. So, for example, if you write to examination in Accra, your scripts are not marked in Accra for very obvious reasons. So we swap these, and then we have marking centers across the country, across all the regions, and we send our officers there. He mentioned subject officers. The subject officers are there. Then we have some other staff of ours who manage the scripts. Now we have also examiners. These are experts in their own subject areas. Some are effectively teaching these subjects across from senior high school to the university level. And so they are the ones who come. So, but then before we even go to the field for the marking, there's what we call the coordination meetings. We have the international one, and then we have the local one. Then the international one for the subjects that are common to all the countries. So the experts gather. We have what we call dummies. The dummies are actually live scripts of candidates that we bring on board. So if this is a panel for, let's say, English language, we have about 10 different sets of dummies. We look at those dummies against the marking scheme that we have. It is possible that a candidate may have provided a response that is equally, valuable, and which may not have been included in the original marking scheme. So the experts will look at it and say, do we add this or do we leave it out? Is it relevant or is it not relevant? So it is after this that they finalize the marking scheme. And then when it goes to the local area, we have, he mentioned, we have zonal leaders, we have chief examiners. So they also go and take the examiners through the marking scheme. And these examiners also mark the dummies and award marks. And in the process, it's more like a lecture room. If you mark a particular question and you award a mark, you have to convince me why you are awarding a mark for this particular question. So then there's a consensus building before scripts are given out to the examiners to go and mark. Now when they finish marking, they submit these scripts and we go through what we call script checking. Now in the heat of the job, somebody could swap a figure. 12 may become 21. Or in the course of tabulating, he may have missed something. So this is what our script checkers do. Now, we also have the team leaders who vet the scripts of their assistant examiners. And there are the zonal leaders also who vet that of the team leader. So there's always a system of checks and balances. And so whenever results are released, we are sure, of course, a human institution, we are sure that about 99% we would have gone through all the scripts of the candidates, and we are sure that the grade we award is a grade that the candidate deserves. Now, it is worth noting that when results are released, we have a 3-month grace period for people who receive their results and who think that they have performed better than what has been awarded them to come and seek redress. That opportunity exists.
Yes, so that was something that just came to mind. That is there room for remarking?
Absolutely, there is. Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Well, there are different processes. If it's school exams, normally you have to route it through your school. And let me say that some schools, they know the ability of their candidates. So sometimes when the results are released and they realize that one or two of their brilliant candidates didn't perform as they expected.
Yeah.
Sometimes the schools themselves request that we do a remarking for them, and there are students who also request for remarking of their scripts. Yes.
Okay, okay. The role of supervisors and invigilators.
Well, you know, the exams council cannot be at every examination center.
Okay.
If you take the senior high schools, most of the schools write the examination in their schools. So you realize that our staff strength is said that we cannot be at every school. So normally that responsibility is placed on the heads of the various schools. So they are the supervisors.
Okay.
So what they do is that they ensure that they make arrangements where the students will write the exams.
Okay.
Two, they appoint invigilators for the examination. And then we have our rules governing the examination. So normally we will brief the supervisors as to what is expected of them, and then what is expected as well of the invigilators.
Okay.
So they in turn, when they get back, will brief the invigilators as well as the candidates about the do's and don'ts of our examination. And let me say that more so, they are the chief examiners, they are the chief executives of the exams at their centers. So we place that responsibility on them. They are to ensure that everything goes well, and the candidates as well as the supervisors behave as expected of them, and then they don't allow unqualified persons to come around the examination centers.
So these invigilators, if I understand what you're saying so far, are expected to be teachers, are they?
Yes, usually with the school exams, they are teachers of the school.
Okay.
Yes, and then we trust that we give the headmasters the room to select the invigilators, and we inform them that as much as possible, they should select people who are of high integrity. And so that is the way we do it. And then for any particular subject, you don't allow somebody who is an expert in that subject to be an invigilator.
Okay. Why is that? Is there a temptation that seeing some students suffering with some questions, they might just
want to lead them into temptation. We don't want to lead them into temptation.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
It's highly possible.
Yes, it is. It is. Are there periodic trainings for teachers in regards to invigilating?
Well, as he said, there are opportunities for briefing them. I guess we've all been through school, and the teachers who are effectively teaching are equally conducting tests and examinations in their schools, and we expect that there are standards that go with the conduct of every examination. So besides the little that we add, we believe that by their training, they also have an idea about what. But then generally, yes, there is briefing for everybody. As we speak, there's a webinar going on.
Okay.
And it is meant to brief the supervisors and invigilators across the country.
What would you say are challenges encountered by the West African Examinations Council in the conduct of examinations in the country?
Well, I think currently we are getting close to writing the school exams, so probably let's concentrate on the school examination. One of the challenges has to do with what we refer to as unqualified candidates. You know, candidates who write the school exams are people who should go through the school for 3 years.
Okay.
What we've realized is that some schools register candidates who have already done the 3 years, and maybe one or two of their grades were not satisfactory.
Okay.
So they see some of these school heads and then they register them. So what happens is that now you know that the assessment regime that we have now, continuous assessment is part of it. So if you register somebody who is entering at Form 3, how do you generate the candidate's continuous assessment? So that is the first challenge that we are facing. And then some of these candidates, because they couldn't make up the grade earlier on, we've realized that these are the candidates who gives us a lot of trouble and then sending materials, etc., into the examination room. And then number 2, some of our invigilators are not helping us. We expect that there will be discipline. We don't allow them to send in their mobile phones into the examination room. But unfortunately, sometimes when you go around on inspection, you will find mobile phones with some of these invigilators. And what they do is that they have friends outside who may solve some of the questions or even pass on objective answers to them, and then they in turn also pass it on to the candidates. These are some of the challenges, and some of the invigilators too don't set the candidates well. They allow them to send in what we refer to as foreign material, pieces of information on sheets of paper.
Examination malpractice.
Yes, and then what we are also facing has to do with mobile phones. If you give it a records of our irregularity cases, you realize that the number of candidates who send in mobile phones keeps on increasing every year. So these are some of the challenges that we are facing.
How can you remedy that? How can you put an end to that?
I think that here we are talking about integrity. You know, a drowning man will clutch at a straw. So people, as you mentioned earlier, the desperate ones will definitely do anything to pass. Now, it looks as if, I cannot vouch for this, but then it looks as if there's a trend that you can be assisted. Do this and you get whatever you want. So for me, it looks as if there's a certain collaboration between the invigilators and some other unscrupulous people and the candidates. There are some places you walk into an examination room and all heads are up expecting something, you know. Now, when they get to know you are a WAEC official, everybody goes quiet, you know. So the situation has been created where the children or the candidates are always expecting something from somewhere. And we don't have clear evidence, but we are told that in some of the schools, the candidates are made to contribute some amounts of money to be given to invigilators who would allow them to have a field day. We have not been independently able to you know, verify that, but these are some of the things that we are told.
Wow.
Yes, and then maybe our other challenge is that all of us, maybe our concept of examination, you see, it's a big challenge to us. It looks as if now examination has become a do and die affair, you see. But examination is not, it's all about what you know. You see, you've gone through a period of training.
Yes.
So we are assessing you to see, are you capable of moving on to the next stage? So that is the way we should look at it. But it looks as if it has become a do and die affair. Everybody wants to pass at all.
But people must pass at the end of 3 years.
Yes, but then you see,
you
should pass, and you should show your true ability. Your results should show your true ability. And in that case, you yourself will be free. You see, you get A1 and you go to an institution and you can't perform. You embarrass yourself.
There is this question I want to find out from you. Private schooling. Do we have a concept of people not going through the normal 3 years with a senior high school, having their own sort of education, lectures, maybe homeschooling, but still register to sit for exams conducted by WAEC?
Yes, there is. I encountered somebody about 2 years ago, a lawyer who trained his child at home, but they would usually write the private exams, what we call the WAS for private candidates.
Okay.
Because, as he said, the marks that we award at the end of the thing also has your or the continuous assessment.
Yes. Yes.
So for those people who don't have the continuous assessment, they would write what we call the WAS for private candidates.
Okay.
And so for such homeschooling people, they can access that examination.
Okay. Okay.
Well, what I would say
Yes.
is that there are private schools.
Yeah.
You see, we have two types of schools. We have government-assisted secondary schools, and then we have these private schools. Example is Action, and those other schools. Yes. So they also take their candidates through 3 years of schooling.
Yeah.
But maybe because of lack of facilities in the government schools, or for any other reason, some parents prefer that their wards should go to these private schools. So they also go through 3 years of schooling as those who enter government-assisted secondary schools. And they have registered through the Ghana Education Service.
Yes.
And the exams council have given them center numbers.
Okay.
So they are also able to register their candidates to sit for the school examinations.
Okay. Still on the issue of challenges the council faces, issues to do with the rogue websites that put out some examination questions kind of to entice students as if those are past questions that are likely to drop. How are you handling issues of this nature?
This has been quite a tightrope to walk, because we have these rogue websites that can hardly be traced. We've engaged a whole lot of experts. We have been able to mention names of some of these groups. We've been able to pick up a few, but it looks more like a drug cartel. I'm not into that area, so I wouldn't be able to, go deep into it. But what happens is that if you pick up A will never give you a lead to where the source is, and so you have that difficulty. Okay. So as soon as we get to know what website is publishing what, immediately we begin to try and trace to see if we can get to the bottom of it. And they can create as many as, so you get one, you close it down, the next instant they've opened another one, And so that is one major area that we wish we would have some, big expertise to assist us in, clamping down on those sites. Yeah.
So as we speak, you don't have measures in place that you think you can nip those examination rogue sites and all?
I wouldn't say we don't have, but the point is that, if I have a website, it's an independent website. You can't come and shut my thing down because you think I'm doing something. What if I'm able to prove to you that? Because indeed, some of the questions that we've been able to get from these websites are not correct. Now, so if I go and say I'm shutting down your website because you are publishing questions, you compare them to yours and they are not the same. The fellow can take any criminal action against you. So that is one of the difficulties that we have as far as these rogue websites are concerned. But then we are not resting on ours. We are trying very hard to see how best we can get, cyber experts to assist us get to the bottom of it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think this an expertise. You see, you have to be able to get that expertise before you be able to lock down these sites. So, as he said, we are trying to contact the experts to help us because it's beyond us. So, what we can do on our part is to only sensitize the public and advise these students that they should be careful about some of these sites because what they come out are not the rare questions. And you waste all your time instead of studying. You waste all your time on these questions, and then you get to the exams room, and they are not the questions that are asked. You can imagine what happened last year, if I can recall, the integrated science. If you remember the way some students demonstrated and said that they've gotten a poll, and then they went
They
and they were
expecting
disappointed.
some questions and they didn't drop.
Yes. So these are some of the challenges. So all that we can do is that we can only advise the candidates and parents as well, so that as much as possible they don't follow these websites, because they can give them headaches.
What are the current trends in examination irregularities?
I think he mentioned some of them. We have these rogue websites would be one of those areas. And you know, when you are told that this is what is going to come together and it's not there, you become desperate. The second thing is the mobile phone menace. You know, a lot of people are able to smuggle in mobile phones. Candidates write responses on their thighs or in their palms. They put certain things in the collars of their shirts.
Okay.
You have also in schools where there are supervisors who are not doing their work or living up to expectation, where you have, you know, the questions being answered elsewhere and, you know, sent in to the candidates, you know. So these are some of the areas that we have examination irregularities. I don't know if Pierre would add.
Well, I earlier mentioned about the mobile phones. In 2018, we had 103 cases. 2019, we have 188. 2020, we have 511 cases of mobile phones. And all these candidates who are caught with mobile phones, the unfortunate thing is that their entire results are cancelled. But then, by way of statistics, 2018, we had 2,787 candidates generally who were involved in irregularities. 2019, it was 8,871. Last year, it came down a little. It was 6,831 candidates who were involved in irregularities. So, by way of statistics, that is what I can say.
So, what are strategies put in place by the council to ensure successful examinations, especially ahead of 2021?
Well, we are trying to engage our stakeholders, who are mainly our supervisors and then invigilators. Like he said, as we are, you are engaging us right now. They are having a program with the invigilators and supervisors, briefing them on their roles. We are also engaging the candidates as well, so that they will also abide by the rules and regulations governing the examination. We are also extending our engagement to the various communities. Sometimes the schools are there, they want to do all that they can. But you know, some of these invigilators and supervisors, they live within the community. And sometimes the community members threaten them so that they are not able to perform their work as expected of them. So we are also trying to engage the various communities so that they will all understand. As I said, examination is not a do and die affair. We just want to know how much you know or how much you have learnt throughout your 3 years of schooling. Yes.
There are some viewers have sent in some questions. Would like to go through some of them. One person is saying invigilators are not well motivated. They invigilate over hours without even water, so candidates do easily influence them with some contributions, which in turn lure invigilators to assist them. This is an observation from a viewer.
Yes, you know, when it comes to invigilation, yes, we are not paying a salary, or I wouldn't even call it an allowance. It is some little motivation. And remember that invigilation is said to be part of the teacher's job. You've been teaching them for 3 years. They've come to the final year, they're about to write the examination. Just be there and invigilate them. And when you are done, something little is given to you, you know, by way of some, I wouldn't want to call it an allowance per se, you know. Again, it's WAEC as an institution may not be the one to determine these allowances. Remember that these are staff of the Ghana Education Service.
Yes.
So I don't know whether, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's just something little that we give them in appreciation, of the work of that they are doing.
For that
but then
period of
their main job, yes, is there. So I think it's taken as part of their main job. But what we give them is some kind of motivation to enable them perform their duties.
Okay, let's move on. Benjamin Edu Jama SHS. Benjamin, he says, good afternoon. Your panelists mentioned that they rehearse the sample questions the setters put together. What is the criteria for schools for that purpose?
Rehearse.
Do you get?
I don't
do
get the
you get
question.
that?
Trial test. No, the trial tests that we conduct are meant for us.
Okay.
They are meant for us to weigh, as he said, weigh the questions that we are coming out with. We are looking at the difficulty levels, because obviously the ability levels are different.
Okay.
There should be questions that everybody should be able to answer. There are questions that the very intelligent ones should be able to answer. And there are some that, okay, you can have a 50-50 kind of thing. You know, we cannot go deep into the statistics of it all. But then, so the trial test basically is meant for us to assess the items we have and see whether they are suitable for a particular level of examinees or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we cannot
Patrick
conduct it throughout the country.
Okay.
So usually it's done on a sample
On a
of
sample
schools, yes.
basis. Okay. Patrick Moore from Jaboso is asking, please, is a second-year student qualified to write WAEC exam?
Well, for school exams, no.
No. Okay.
Because you have to go through the 3 years. As I said,
Yes.
the continuous assessment is part of the final distance assessment is part of it. So if you haven't gone through the 3 years, we cannot generate your continuous assessment. But he can write the private exams.
Okay.
That one, there are no limitations. You can write the private exams.
Okay. Okay. Before I release you, gentlemen, the two Johns, before I release you, would you mind demystifying the issue of past questions?
Past questions, as the term indicates, are past questions. The exam has been written. Usually what we call a past question, even if there was a maths examination this morning, it started from 9 a.m., ended at 11 a.m. As at this time, maybe almost 3 o'clock, it's a past question. Now, what happens is that the past questions are meant, like when we're in school, we call them PASCO, all right?
Yes.
You put them together, and when you study, use them to try yourself and see if you have come to the level of being able to answer the questions as expected. And sometimes, as groups, when we are done studying, we discuss those questions and see if indeed we've been able to grasp the materials expected of us when it is time for examinations. So when anybody goes to buy past questions, we sell past questions in the office. So if anybody comes in and says, I want to buy past questions, they are sold out to the people.
Okay.
You know, so there's really no fetish about past questions.
Well, what I may add is that, these are standard questions. The past questions, they are standard questions. So as students practice them, at least it gives them an idea about what to expect in the examination. It may not be the exact questions. And let me add that the teachers who teach them, they may not have that expertise to set questions to that standard. So if you have the past questions, at least it serves as a guide and it helps you to prepare adequately for the examinations.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much. This is all that time would allow us, but the fetish about past questions is when government comes in to procure past questions for students. That's the fetish, but I don't want to put you into a very hot spot. This afternoon, we were joined by John Kweku Appiah. He's Head of Science, Maths and Technical Subjects Department at the West African Examinations Council. And we also had John Kwame Kapi. He's the Head for Office Management Department, also at the West African Examination Council. They helped us to understand the mandate of the Council in the performance of examinations conduct. in the country. I am Sandra Ofosu Dewonu. God willing, tomorrow the media budget review is on and Metro TV will be bringing you a comprehensive coverage. Unfortunately, we couldn't have our two other economists join us this afternoon, but tomorrow we bring you a comprehensive coverage of that event. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Bringing you Africa's creme de la creme's classiest hangouts, award shows, end-of-year parties, wedding, graduations, birthdays, fashion or corporate events. Metro Social has got you covered. We present Pizzazz with Je ne sais quoi,